Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified Doctor of Naturopathy, Dr. Stephen Cabral, shares with you exactly how you can reverse aging, take back your health, and live a life full of energy and passion, with new 20-minute episodes every single day to keep you healthy and engaged. Now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're here today on our Mindset and Motivation Monday. So excited to get into today's topic, which is going to be the proven formula to get you to your goal faster. There's 3 specific parts to this formula. I want to make sure that you know them inside and out so that whatever your goals are, your hopes, your dreams, that you're able to get to them that much faster. But just keep in mind, in general, as you begin to walk down that path in life, your journey through life, you will begin to understand, I do believe, that part of the joy of life, part of the happiness that you derive from life is the overall growth-based process. Sometimes it's called, right, the journey is in and of itself the goal. Well, the truth is, after you've gotten past your first, second, third levels of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and if you don't know what that is, we can certainly share that link as well in the show notes today, which will be at stephencabral.com/2789. But what you want to understand is that the growth, the journey, the challenges you go through, as long as they're not overly detrimental to your health or to your emotional wellness, your spiritual well-being, that it is part of the enjoyment. So don't always look to achieve your goals, within the next few days or few weeks or maybe even few months. Sure, there's some goals that you're going to want to be able to achieve in a shorter period of time. There's probably going to be goals, though, that you're looking to work on for a year, 2 years, these bigger goals that not only will you be excited when you do achieve them, but what happens is you begin to develop a character, a new you that is able to overcome the challenges and obstacles that are put in front of you that once confronted, you change, and you change in a way to now become worthy of actually being able to achieve those goals. So let's get started. Let's go into that 3-part formula starting here today. I'm telling you right now, this will get you to your goals that much faster, and it will crystallize what you need to do. So the first one is this. The first part to this, we know what our end goal is, the getting to the goal, right? But the first part is this. It's asking better questions. Now you might say, what does that have anything to do with getting to my goal? Well, this is how I look at it. That we talked about the be, do, get formula. We've talked about all those different things. But what I want to share with you is this. The main reason, honestly, the main reason that you don't and haven't achieved your goals is not only just having the big why, the reasons why, but it's that you don't know what you don't know, right? And because you don't know what you don't know the right questions to ask or even the people to seek out in order to be able to achieve the goal, right? So let's take me, just for example, 17 years old. I wake up one morning, massively swollen glands. My tongue is swollen, my throat's swollen, my eyes are swollen, all the lymph nodes in my body are swollen. My heart rate's up into like the 130s to 150s. I'm sweating. I have no idea what's wrong with me, right? This is not a normal cold, not a normal virus. Something's wrong with me. My immune system is shutting down. Okay. Basic question, what's going on with me? That's the basic question. But beyond that, I don't know the questions to ask in order to then be able to say, oh, it's an adrenal issue, it's a thyroid issue, it's an immune system issue, it's a gut issue, it's a candida issue, it's a bacterial issue, it's a parasite issue. I didn't even know those questions to start to ask. So what I share with you is this. It took me 10 years to get well because I wasn't able to ask the right questions. That's the truth. But what happened and the way that I was able to ask better questions was that I began to move through this process. So at first, I didn't even know a thing called natural health existed. So what did I do? I exhausted all my resources from going to my PCP and medical doctors, then from specialist to specialist, and then even more specialized until basically nobody could figure out what it was. Okay, so I've exhausted all those, but now by chance, serendipity, because I was focused on achieving my goal of getting well, someone introduced me to this whole thing called natural health. So they introduced me to what back then, this is in the 90s, but it would be a naturopathic doctor essentially of today, right? They introduced me to that individual, and this person started to share with me, you may have food sensitivities. You might have gut issues. You might have heavy metals. You might have adrenal cortisol-based issues. And we began to run those at-home lab tests. Now, I had no idea what they were. Of course, I was skeptical. But now my mind was completely, not only was I just opened up to all this new material, but now I was even more confused. Because it's like, wait a minute, why didn't any of my other doctors share with me that these things were possible as well? Because now I'm finding out that I have candida overgrowth, I have SIBO, I have H. pylori, I've got dozens of food sensitivities, I've got dysregulated cortisol, all sorts of inflammatory issues, no secretory IgA. Like, why didn't anybody share this with me? So now, here's the thing. I got better input. That is part number 2 of this formula. So, didn't even know how to get the input in the first place. That's why people struggle, because you don't know the questions to ask. But you stay open to it, right? That's why you set a goal and you don't try to figure out exactly how you're going to get to that goal yet. You stay open to the plan. So for us, a neighbor just shared with us, to my mom, okay, your son's struggling to get well. He has health issues. You've exhausted conventional medicine. Have you looked into this doctor in Cambridge, Massachusetts? They may be able to help you. Great. So we did that. That was a first step. The doctor now begins to explain all these things over a 60 or 90-minute appointment. Mind is now wide open. I can ask what? Better questions. So what do? I go to my library. I'm 17, or at this point I was 19 years old. I didn't find this doctor for 2 years. Start to take out books. There was no Amazon, at least to me back then. And I'm taking out books on the adrenals. I'm taking books on the gut. I'm taking books on the immune system. There was far less back then, but at least I had a place to go. Now what am I doing? I'm increasing my input. I'm increasing my input not just to be able to eventually take action, but I'm increasing my input because now I can ask better questions. And if I can ask better questions, then I can find who? The right advisors, the right mentors, the right coaches. Or if you can't afford those people, because obviously they can shortcut your roadmap to success, you can take the courses. Now you can, right? There wasn't really online like there is now. And I can read the right books. So for me, people always ask, first of all, why did you read thousands of books? Honestly, I would not have read thousands of books had I grown up in today's day and age. I read thousands of books because that was the way to learn information, right? So I think that anybody at least 35 and up, 40 and up for sure, understands that, when if they were going to school in the 90s, you couldn't just type in a question online and find those answers. I mean, we had dial-up maybe in the late 90s, mid 90s, but there wasn't really the same access to information like there is now. So, and you were also standardized to read. And so that's what I did. And I'm actually very appreciative of that, because when you read a book that's 200 or 300 or 400 pages, you go in depth. And online right now, we read an article that might be 1,500 words, right? It's radically different. It's 10 minutes of reading versus hours of reading. And so I'm not upset about that, but what depth does is it absolutely allows for better questions. And you begin then, as you ask these questions, you get then to find the next book or the next information. And then that book then allows you to find the next one because you have new questions. And that's always how I just try to up-level my own education. And back then, I wasn't a fast reader, so I was just committed to being able to read, as I've shared with you before, at least 10 pages a day. And then I said, you know what, this is not going to get me through the information that I need fast enough. And I couldn't hire the coach back then, the doctor, the whatever. So what I did was I simply taught myself to read faster. And so then I got what? Better input faster, which then led back to the first one, which is better questions. Then that automatically leads to what? The second one, which is better input. Now, at some point, though, you're going to need to take step number 3. And the step number 3 that I've created is very different than when I was in my teens and 20s. I was very much a perfectionist. It held me back tremendously in life. I think it had a little bit more to do with my obsessive compulsive, at times, disorder, where I tried to be too meticulous about things, too perfect about things. I no longer have to deal with that, which is nice, because I've replaced it though with a better methodology in my brain, which again, you have to rewire these things. So for me, I always wanted to do things right. It was, representation of this, that, and the other thing. Part of it is that I don't maybe have the same self-worth issues maybe that I did in the past. A lot of us struggle with that, of course, as teenagers and maybe even into our 20s. Now, I'm not so much worried about without any type of judgment or anything like that, but it's actually very different. Now I realize that this is all part of the process. And if my end goal is to be able to teach and to truly teach what works best from an integrative health perspective, and again, for me, it's tough that's why people say like, I don't even know what to make, of this guy, because he'll use anything that works, right? I'm not the keto guy. I'm not the carnivore guy. I'm not the conventional medicine person or the functional medicine lab tech. No, it's like whatever works for the right individual is what I'm going to use. And the way that I came to this process, though, again, a lot of number one and number two, better questions and better input, which then keep cycling through each other, and then taking action. But what I realized that if you take action, and you start to develop something over the course of a year, the problem is this. The problem is that you're no matter what, you're never going to get it right on the first try. Most likely not the second, third, fourth, fifth, or whatever try as well. So the goal is multiple iterations. So I realized that you need to put something out there and actually fail faster forward. All right, those 3 F's: fail faster forward. What that means is basically, you're not going to get it right the first time. I don't even like to call it a failure, but call it what you will. It's iteration number 1, right? A true inventor doesn't invent the thing on the first try. It's, the 1,000th time or whatever it might be. And so you're going to fail. That's okay, right? Because you know that the faster you do fail, the faster you're going to be able to figure out what works. And if you always put the word forward at the end, then you realize that you never actually failed. What you did was you went through a discovery process, like hopefully we are in life right now. It's basically these smaller goals, or maybe a metaphor for our larger life. And if we try more things, but they are better educated, meaning because we asked great questions, we got great input, and then we took our best educated guess. Now, when we actually work the process, what we're doing is we're working off a good foundational set of information, but we know that it's going to need to be tweaked based on who we are as individuals or where we are in the world. So when we give someone, let's say, the CBO protocol in our practice for their digestive system, or maybe the heavy metal protocol or mold protocol or immunity protocol, whatever it might be, we know that we can make adjustments with that based on the individual. We know that the protocol itself works. We know that it's based on science. We know that it's based on also an actual practice in the real world that works with, people all over the world. But we do know that we need to implement it right away, and then working with a coach, begin to make those tweaks as needed. So if you follow this formula right now for any part of your life, again, my specialty is health. It's what I do, but I know that you could use this same formula with relationships, with spirituality, with body transformation, with career, any of these things. And when I say fail faster forward, it doesn't mean that things are like exploding in your wake, right? What it means is that you're doing your very best, right? You're doing your very best, but let's just say you're out on a date, you're going out, you're trying to meet that right someone, and you say something that you're like, right when you say oh yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Now, it's probably not the end of the world because you're a good person, you're trying to do the right thing, but in the future, you're probably not going to phrase it that way or say that particular thing. And whenever you say something, you can just own it. You can just apologize. You know what? Just say, yeah, that didn't come out of my mouth quite right, And so you can say that, you can make light of the situation, but what you're doing is you're getting that input. Yeah, that didn't necessarily work. So what do? Okay. You ask the question. Again, it goes back then to number 1. So it reverses. It's better questions to better input to try something. Now you need to tweak it. So you're basically saying what? Ask the question, what should I have said instead? Okay, let's get better input. Oh, that phrase would have been much better. I'll do that in the future. Same with career. You're putting yourself out there. You're making social media posts, whatever you might be doing. Some of them did well, some didn't. You ask questions. Why did this one do well? Why didn't that one do well? Oh, this one did well because this seems to be a topic that my audience begins to resonate with. Why don't I teach more of those things since people are already seeming to respond well to that? So you can use this in literally any part of your life. So I would love for you, again, I'm going to write these down for you. So why don't I do this? Head on over to stevencabral.com/2789. Check out the podcast on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Check out the one on be, do, get. We talk about these things in depth in module 10 of high performance health. And we obviously talk about them in IHP and IHP mastery as well. So we can link up those, but I will then also write out the 3-part formula for you so you can just copy and paste it, add it to your notes, add it to your journaling. And I would love for you to be able to write down your one goal and how can you use these 3 questions or 3 parts in order to be able to get to that goal that much faster with hopefully having a lot of fun along the way. Thanks everybody for tuning into the show. Of course, if it was helpful, share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, and I'll be back tomorrow with our brand new Total Wellness Tuesday, where we will be going over EMFs and mast cell sensitivities and histamines. All right, so check it out. I'll be here tomorrow. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my Health Results Accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.